Desperate to Netball NZ require Laura Langman more than she needs them. Desperate to Netball NZ require Laura Langman more than she needs them. Opinion: Laura Langman would have to be St. Laura to consider a return to the hapless Silver Ferns. The mid-court great hasn't played for the national side since October 2016, being barred by Netball New Zealand, NNZ, because she was competing in Australia with the Sunshine Coast Lightning. NNZ's treatment of Langman has been appalling, considering she played 141 consecutive tests over 11 years in the black dress, and is one of the few world-class players the Silver Ferns had to call on. Now, NNZ have come crawling back to her in desperation given the side's horrible recent results and the fact she's terminated her 2018 contract with the Lightning to take a break from the sport. Silver Ferns coach Janine Southby spoke to the 31-year-old prior to Christmas and is set to follow that up with another call over the next week to gauge her availability for April's Commonwealth Games. New Zealand must name their 12-player squad next week, and the situation is complicated by NNZ's board's stringent rule, where Langman would need to be aligned to a Kiwi franchise to be eligible for selection. Judging by her Instagram account, Langman is making the most of her well-deserved break, tearing up the big white mountain slopes on her snowboard in Canada. Netball looks the furthest thing from her mind, and it's difficult to fathom how a Silver Ferns reunion would benefit her. NNZ require Langman far more than she needs them. Langman captured Commonwealth Games gold medals in 2006 and 2010, with a World Cup winners' medal the only accolade missing from her illustrious career. She doesn't need a World Cup to define her legacy. Even if she retired from the international arena tomorrow, she'd be worthy of New Zealand netball's pantheon. Next year's World Cup in Liverpool, England, seems a more realistic prospect should Langman still aspire to play for her country. You could hardly fault her if she didn't. While NNZ's eligibility stance held some merit when the Trans-Tasman competition suspended in 2016, there should have been a caveat. Rugby Australia created Gaita's law before the 2015 World Cup, so they could select Toulon-based Matt Gaita in their squad. Players with a minimum of 60 caps for the Wallabies or 7 years of Super Rugby experience could be picked if they were contracted to an overseas club. NNZ should have taken a similar approach. The bulk of New Zealand netballers would have still played domestically, but experienced campaigners such as Langman would have had the opportunity to test themselves in Australia against leading diamonds and other international stars. Seasoned Australian netball observers rated Langman as among the premier performers in the inaugural Super Netball competition last year. She played some of the best netball of her life and was an integral reason why the Lightning took out the silverware. If she were to rejoin the Silver Ferns, Langman would also be playing for a coach who has stood loyal to her employer NNZ, rather than kick up a fuss to allow her to play. In an interview last year, Southby remarked, "Like everyone else in the country, I was really disappointed when Laura chose to play in Australia. But I respected her decision." Then there's the fact the Silver Ferns have been a blundering mess on court during October's 4-0 Constellation Cup clean sweep by Australia in the recently completed Quad Series. Langman is a special netballer, and there's no doubt she'd stabilise a struggling mid-court with her tenacious attitude, defensive pressure and supreme fitness. Even she might be powerless to prevent the damage, given the way the ferns have deteriorated over the past 6 months. To her credit, Langman has never publicly vented her frustration with NNZ and regularly stated rules are rules. She's far too classy and diplomatic to lash out and bring down a sport she's given so much to and is deeply passionate about. Representing New Zealand is a privilege, not a right for Langman, and something she may just end up doing again. It would be purely out of love for New Zealand, though, truly a saint-like quality.